Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. So today I am joined once again by the amazing Joe of the Dreaming Insomniacs. How you doing today, brother?
I'm well. How are you?
Dude, very well. It's very nice to have you back. So a lot of you guys will remember Joe from our My First Horror Movie episode where we talked about Scream 3 and how important that movie was to him, but I wanted to bring him back on to talk a little bit about the Dreaming Insomniacs and what he's doing right now. So with the record coming out recently, what can you tell us a little bit about the new record?
So we just came out with an EP on October 4th called Still Dreaming. It's more of an acoustic effort. It was just to kind of be like, hey, we got some music this year because we didn't have it was the first year in a long time where we didn't have a album releasing.
Mhm.
So we've been hard at work on our 11th studio album, Back to Insomnia, which is coming in 2024. So that's going to be sonically, lyrically, and musically the most and best thing we've ever produced. I'm serious about that. I'm not just bullshitting.
Right. Now we know that, with the new EP, there was talks at one point about you doing like maybe like an alternate cut of some of the tunes. Is that something that's still up in the air, or?
Oh, for those specific ones on the EP, actually, there is the demos on Bandcamp. You can find them, and they're actually completely different than the songs on the EP. It's cool
Okay.
how they evolved to the final versions.
Right. And I do have the links for all that down in the description, guys. So make sure you're checking it out. So if you could compare the Dreaming Insomniacs to, I don't like to compare bands because each band sonically is always their own thing. But what are some bands that people might be fans of that would turn them on to the Dreaming Insomniacs?
So, really, any listeners of classic rock and pop rock, I think people who love 90s music and 60s music specifically will find themselves tuning their ears towards us. Uh, if you're a Green Day fan, especially, I get that comparison a lot. I'm sick of it. Yeah, Green Day is an influence, but it's not the only influence.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so there's that. And pretty much anybody who loves deep, heartfelt music that's going to not be afraid to talk about things going on in the world.
Hmm. Well, and like you said, when you're releasing your 11th studio album, sometimes you can get in that rut, and you can, what's the reason? Why am I doing this? I've been doing this for so long. Maybe I should try something else. And then you strip down for the acoustic EP, and then you said sonically, musically, lyrically, you're going to be going in a whole different direction with the next record. How much of the next record is completed right now?
I want to say we're about half.
Okay.
That might be being generous. Might be more than that. I don't know. Half.
So, do we have an estimated time on when you're hoping it's released?
I want to aim for summer.
Okay.
That's
Do
off
we
the
have
top of my head.
do we have any release dates for maybe any singles that might be coming out before the actual release of the record?
Yeah, we already have two singles out from it, PR Nightmare and Home Again. And oh, sorry, three. Sorry. Eternity, PR Nightmare, and Home Again. All three of those
Right.
are out there on Apple Music and Spotify and Tidal and iHeartRadio and all that stuff.
And in the description below. So you talked
Yes.
about how this was sonically a little bit different for you to go and make this record. What, because obviously I'm a huge fan of music. I've always been a huge fan of music. It's something I've always been a really big part of my life. I've played instruments my whole life. But when it's coming to making a new record that you want to do something different, where did you pull influence from for this record?
Well, first, just to add to what you just said, you're a very talented musician, and I think you should come back and put out an album. You have a
maybe
platform, man.
maybe someday we'll get
I
there
want to see it
maybe.
happen. I will convince you every day until then. And
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I lost the question, so you might have to ask me that again. I apologize.
No, I know that sometimes, like you said, when we're getting to this later on stages of making a record, your influences change from record to record. What are some of the things that you personally have been listening to as inspiration for the new record?
A lot of, weirdly enough, old blues music, even though
Hmm.
none of the album is blues. A lot of early Led Zeppelin musically, big
Hmm.
influence there. Um, Pink Floyd. You'll hear a lot of David Gilmour influence in this album, which is cool because we got that comparison a lot with our third album, Red versus Blue.
Hmm.
So it's going to be a nice, I don't know, 70s, 60s, 90s throwback.
Sure. Well, and
Going for it.
for you, what's the big difference between because when you make an acoustic EP and you have something that's really stripped down, a lot of people could think that that's easier to do. Not necessarily true. So what to you is the difference between creating an acoustic EP and a full length, full band record?
Well, number one's collaboration. The acoustic EP, I did it all myself. I didn't even tell Steven. It was kind of a shady move on my part. I'll admit that. I'll sit here right there and admit that. But again, I they evolved from these demos that I just kept improving, and then like the final versions are recorded on a different DAW, and sonically it's better. And I use my Blue Yeti rather than my iPhone headphones, which I used for so long. Even X was recorded with the iPhone headphones vocally. You
That's
couldn't tell though.
amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
So thank you. I appreciate that. So like for me, the new album sonically it's going to be even bigger because yes, I'm using these better materials, but I'm also in audio engineering school. So
Mhm.
I'm learning how to not cross the threshold of the sound barrier and the specs and all that stuff. So it's really helping me get to know how to properly record a tune. And then looking back on some of my other stuff, I'm like, well, I was not following the rules I did not know about there. So
Right. We talk about Green Day being an influence. There's nothing more punk rock than just being like, fuck it, plug in the mics and let's go. You know what I mean? Like
that's
that's
what they
how
did.
a lot of us started, man. Like just like fuck it, let's do it, let's make some tunes. And now with the acoustic EP, is there ever a chance that we could get like a full band version of some of these songs on maybe a future record, or is this kind of one that's very personal to you? You'd like to keep as just an acoustic EP, stripped down type thing.
Funny you should ask that because two of the singles from the new album that's coming out are two songs from that EP that are redone full band.
So you guys can also check out like I said, because I've always been a person that loves acoustic versions of full songs. I always get really excited when I see a band's going out on an acoustic tour, so I can hear some of these songs done a little bit different. Because there's always a difference. I don't care how the song is. It could be the most punk rock song in the world. It could be the most, I don't know, radio rock stained song in the world. And you're going to get a completely different experience from listening to a stripped down acoustic version and a full band version. So that's something that I've always been a huge fan of. Um, so when you are recording this full length, because like you said, you work with your partner a lot. How do you guys make it so like in the writing process? Are you just like shipping files back and forth to each other, or like do you do like face to face recording? Like what's your guys' method of making music?
It's a good question because for us, well, because he's in Massachusetts, I'm in Florida. So it's a
Right.
little hard to record music in person. In fact, it's impossible because we don't have the means financially right now. But with technology in the past 10 years, it's come a very long way. And through BandLab and things like Facebook Messenger video, you can get a lot
Mhm.
done. So the writing process, how it starts is usually I start with poetry, simple poetry, as I always have, really good basis. And then I'll make a demo, whether it's acoustic or multi-track, whatever. I'll make a raw demo first. So it's usually a raw acoustic track that turns into a multi-track and then it turns
Mhm.
into the final. So there's usually three versions of the song before it actually comes out. Um, so then I send it to Steven, and what he'll do is he'll look at the lyrics, and if there's anything that he thinks will fit better lyrically for the flow, he'll suggest the adjustments with
Mhm.
the proper wording because he's very good about that. So there's certain songs that he's completely rewritten, and there's certain songs where he's like, I'm like, hey, just this one little thing here you can
Sure.
change and it'll work better. So that's what's nice about doing it. Also, this new album's a multiple artist collaboration. One of the tracks has, including myself, four audio engineers on it. So
That's
really,
awesome.
I wanted to bring this project together as like, hey, we're all working together. It's not just like a solo effort making it look like a band thing like I did with
Mhm.
Still Dreaming. But again, Still Dreaming was just to be like, hey, we have music this year.
Sure. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, now we've come to an age now to where analog recording is pretty much dead in the water. So, do you do all digital recording now, or do you do any type of analog on tape still?
Nothing on tape. It's all digital.
Okay.
But like when it comes to like analog instruments, yeah, I still use actual instruments. I will program drum tracks from time to time because
Mhm.
budget. But I plan to not do that in the future. Part of the reason why I'm in audio engineering school actually is learning how to record drums and stuff like that, and how to mic drums and how to mic
One of
other
the hardest
instruments.
things in the world to do is to mic a drum kit. Especially if you were ever doing live recordings, it's damn near impossible to mic a drum kit because you're going to get so much cymbal crash, not enough bass
Mhm.
drum, and you can't. It's better to mic a drum set, in my experience, with about 5 different mics. That way you have
Yeah, no,
the
that's the way to
ability
do it. Yeah.
to turn up and turn down and all that stuff. So the Dreaming Insomniacs is something that I've promoted on the channel before. I'm a fan of what you guys do. Is there ever a chance in the future we could get some semblance of a tour out of you guys again?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm just looking for the opportunity. It always comes down to funding, budget,
Hmm.
shit like that. If we had the means, we'd be touring the country all year, every year.
Right.
Right now, we don't. It's not like we're. It's not like we're Green Day. We don't have that Green Day money. Um,
Right.
but am I sitting here complaining about that? No, this is my passion project. This is my high school band, my dude.
Yeah.
We formed
And
it 2 weeks before I graduated.
well, and that was another question. Like when you've released as many records as you have, how do you face that maturity? Because you're not writing the same songs you were writing when you were just out of high school. We've grown up, we've gotten older. Different things are more important to us than the things we were writing about in high school. How do you tackle that level of maturity and focus that into your music?
Looking inward,
Hmm.
being able to stand there, look yourself in the mirror, see what your flaws are, and work through them and mean it.
Right.
It's you have to actually experience it, or you're just gonna be one of those like teenage dirtbag bands where it's just like you're just making bullshit for the corporate system. It's not that. It's never gonna be that. That's why I was approached to sell out. This
Hmm.
creep dude, he was weird. He made sure to show me his Paramount emails. Right, this 2017. And I said, the day I sell my soul to the devil is the day I put a bullet in my skull. Go fuck yourself. That's what I said.
Right.
And like, because he was trying to say like, oh, we want you to make music that isn't you. We want you to do this. You're going to be staying in hotel rooms. I hope it's okay if there's only one bed. Like weird things. And I'm like, I don't judge anyone. I just don't, roll that way. So it's like, that stuff does go on. So you just got to be careful in the industry. For me, I do it because I love it. So that's never going to change. I
Right.
love it. So money doesn't
And
matter.
that's the thing. When you've been doing it as long as you have, and you have this type of longevity, that shows people that it's just like indie filmmakers. When you've been doing it as long as you have, you're doing it for your passion and your love of what you're doing. It has nothing to do with making money. It has nothing to do with, again, not to do the comparison, but being the next Green Day, or being the next Blink 182, or the next Nickelback. I know everybody hates them. I'm not their biggest fan, but to say that they didn't, do a
Never
shitload
Again
for
is a
rock and
great song. Never
what is
Again.
oh,
Never
see,
Again
I
by Nickelback.
my favorite has got to be Somebody. I fucking dig that track. I'm not a huge fan of theirs, but to say that they didn't, really
They have some
capitalize and change rock
bangers.
and roll and make money, like they knew what they were doing. They knew how to make music that appealed to the masses, and kudos to them. I would never poo poo that. Great job. I'm not a huge fan of Kiss, but to say they weren't influential and absolutely genre bending, you still have people that paint their faces to go to their concerts. I can't poo poo that. Good job. That's fucking amazing. Even if it's not for me, I'm super happy that somebody's enjoying that art and somebody's creating art that is absolutely definitively changing other people's lives. That's amazing and beautiful. Whether you agree with the art or not, it's fucking beautiful, man. So, before I let you go, we talked about the release of the record and how people can find your music now. Do you guys ever do like a live stream show where people could actually come out and chill and sit with you guys live and watch you play?
Yeah. Usually I live stream my any shows I'm working on, even if I'm not performing onto my Facebook. That's more personal. I do live stream to the Instagram for the project too. We have a couple of new shows that we just played. The Land Original Music Festival in Ormond Beach Live. That's on our YouTube. The videos are there. We also have merch now too, so that's been launched. We have a bunch
Okay.
of merch that people can pick up on our Teespring. That's on the Linktree link as well. Aside from that, like I don't know. I don't know what else to throw in there. I'm trying to think.
Well, the good thing is, if he did forget anything, I know where it's going to be, and it's down in the description. So make sure, if you're not already, make sure you're following him on social media so that way you can stay up to date on all the things that the band's doing, because 2024 is going to be a huge year. We got a new record coming out. We've already got some singles for that record. So you can kind of see what you're getting into with this band. Like I said, I promoted them on the channel before. They're very good friends of mine. So I wanted to come back out here and kind of show you guys we do have a new album coming out next year, and what better place to talk about it than here? Is it horror related? No. But is he a good friend that's done a lot of horror related stuff with me? Absolutely. So we wanted to come out here and talk to you guys about how amazing this upcoming record is and how excited we are for it. So, Joe, please don't go anywhere, my friend. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.